Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and what a time we've had in the UEFA Champions League this season. Celtic through to the next round, the playoff round of the UEFA Champions League. I know we have a very tough draw. It's still a very exciting time to be a Celtic fan, and even at that, the 24 hours which have followed the game, the ball is still rolling. The transfer window is in full effect, and Celtic are looking to improve this side so that whether it's Real Madrid or Bayern Munich that we face in this playoff round, we are better equipped. So, a huge episode of Celtic Transfer Talk today, plus more. Stay with me, bear with me, we're going to try and get through it all. If you haven't, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. We are powering towards 50,000 subscribers. Thank you all so much. Let's make this the first Celtic fan channel on YouTube to reach 50,000 subscribers. We can do that by the end of the season. Thank you. I genuinely couldn't tell you how much I appreciate it. Anyway, we have a lot to talk about, so let's not waste too much more time. So here it is in all of its glory, the final standings in the UEFA Champions League. League phase for the 2024-25 campaign. Celtic finished in 21st place in this league phase, qualifying for the playoff round as previously mentioned. 3 wins, 3 draws and only 2 losses, including last night's 4-2 defeat to Aston Villa. I must admit, pretty satisfied with how Celtic done over the course of this campaign. The goal, the aim was to make it to this next round, to qualify for knockout football, something that Celtic haven't done since 2013, and it feels good. You know, we made a right good account of ourselves, I would say, bar that huge slip up in Dortmund in match day to be where we are and to qualify and play the football that we've played. I'm very proud of this Celtic team, and the good thing about it is it feels like it's just the first steps. It feels like this is just part 1 of Brendan Rodgers' plan to take Celtic to a bigger and better place in a European scale of things. So, yeah, I can't complain about where we've ended up. Of course, there's things we could have done better. There's a couple of those games that I feel we could have won, but qualifying was key, and we've done exactly that. In fact, I thought this was a very interesting stat that was shared by Transfermarkt last night following the conclusion of the competition. Here is the chart of overperforming clubs in the Champions League, comparing the position that they finished versus their market value position. And as you can see, Celtic in 4th place, the 4th most overperforming club in the entire Champions League, finishing 8 places higher than their market value position would dictate. So Lille, the biggest overperformers, finishing 16 places higher than they should have compared to their squad value, but Celtic coming in at 4th place, which is fantastic. It shows you the level of football we were playing at, and how good Brendan Rodgers got us playing. And listen, people will talk about the draw that we got. People will say, oh, you beat some of the teams that didn't even get off the board, the likes of Young Boys, the likes of Slovan Bratislava. You played teams that aren't even through to the next round. It doesn't matter. Everybody's in the Champions League for a reason. That's the whole point in this competition. So, do you know what? I'm so proud of how Celtic done. We certainly overperformed, I would say. And as I said, I'm looking forward to seeing where this team goes next. Not necessarily the next round right now, because as buzzing as I am to be in that next round, we've got it tight, haven't we? Because Celtic will face either Real Madrid or Bayern Munich in the playoff round of the Champions League. It is the hardest draw we could have got. As you can see here, the list of teams through to that playoff round sees 21st place Celtic or 22nd place Man City take on 11th place Real Madrid or 12th place Bayern Munich. There are certainly teams there that I would rather have played. You know, you have the likes of Feyenoord and Brest, teams who I think, Bruges for example, teams who we would have been closer matched with, but at the end of the day, it was always going to be a tough one. Let's go and try and make a good account of ourselves against these sides. We've got Jota back. We hopefully will have Kieran Tierney, but we need to wait and see. And hopefully we have a striker and a couple of other players through the door. It'll be tough. It was always going to be tough. And we've just got to embrace the challenge and hopefully avoid a scalping. The draw will take place tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. from Switzerland, and we will find out who we are playing in that next round. So keep an eye out on the channel for some content dedicated around that draw. We might even do a wee live stream to react. Nonetheless, the reaction will stay the same, and that is dread and fear. Dread and fear. A big point of conversation that's been brought up following the conclusion of this Champions League phase has been the money that Celtic have earned. And listen, I'm not the best guy to ask when it comes to the financials surrounding football and prize money. That's not my speciality, to say the least. I find it all a bit confusing. However, it seems to be the case that Celtic have pocketed €32 million from this league phase campaign, which is a fantastic sum of money. This was the article in the Herald which detailed that we've earned a whopping €32 million in this league phase of the Champions League. Interestingly though, according to Scotland's Coefficient, the page on Twitter, the €5.4 million pocketed in bonus prize money for this place that we finished in the competition is higher than what the winners of the Europa League phase will receive, which stands at €5.05 million. So whatever happens in this Europa League group stage tonight, whoever finishes top, whether that's Lazio or whoever else, apparently Celtic will earn more money for finishing 21st in the Champions League than they will for finishing first in the Europa League, which also means we are earning a fortune more than what Rangers will earn for finishing wherever they do in the Europa League tonight. So this is the benefit of getting into the Champions League. You know, it's showing you, and we knew that from the start, the money you get just for qualifying alone is why you need to be in this competition. And Celtic are, quite frankly, reaping all the benefits of it. So long may it continue. A lot of money coming into the club. Now get it spent. Which brings us on to the Celtic Transfer Talk portion of the show. And to tell the truth, we have so much to talk about. And the next few days up until that deadline are going to be hectic. Are going to be absolutely hectic, so bear with me every day as we wait for these stories to develop and change, and I'm sure that even by the time this video is published, we'll have more information on how these stories have developed and changed. We should start with the important matter of a striker. As it currently stands, Celtic are on track to start conversations. They are in talks to try and sign Mathias KVISTGAARDEN from Brøndby. This was reported by Rasmus Elmdahl Glud, who is a reporter for Bold in Denmark, who says the circumstances surrounding Mathias KVISTGAARDEN that make this situation very interesting to fall towards a deadline is quite simple. They want to avoid selling, however Celtic are keen on getting the player through the door. So if you go and read that article, you will see more details surrounding this, but the update as per 11 o'clock last night almost was that Celtic are in talks with Brøndby over a possible deal for Mathias KVISTGAARDEN. They are holding out for a record fee in excess of £10 million. He's become a long-term target for Celtic, as we know. He is the number one choice to replace Kyogo, and Celtic are trying to get this deal done before the window. Now, I think that as time has went on, it's very clearly emerged that this is the guy to replace Kyogo. I don't need to talk about Mathias KVISTGAARDEN as more than I already have in terms of his stats and what he brings to Celtic and why he's the ideal Kyogo replacement. It's now time to break bank. It's now time to go and sign a proven clinical striker, and that is Mathias KVISTGAARDEN. I hope this gets done. I think it will be very difficult with Brøndby reluctant to sell, but Celtic are in a position of power where we have the Champions League football post this week and we're also in the position with the money that we've brought in, and just in the position where Brøndby don't have the same benefits to offer a player like KVISTGAARDEN. He will want to move at these opportunities. Celtic are hopefully the leading candidates to pursue his signature, and we might end up breaking the Scottish transfer record for this guy. We might end up doing it. There's a chance that we will need to go towards that sort of figure. The highest that we've paid so far, of course, is 11 million for Arne Engels. The record stays with Rangers for Andre Flo, who came in years ago. But we're certainly going to probably have to beat the Arne Engels transfer fee to bring KVISTGAARDEN through the door. So, yeah, got to be very, very interesting to see where this goes. Hopefully, a huge couple of developments over the next couple of days. It's not the only position that Celtic are set to strengthen before the end of the window. We know that the left back area is one needing urgent attention following the termination of Alex Valley's loan deal. Kieran Tierney has been confirmed by Brendan Rodgers to have signed a pre-contract with Celtic. Kieran Tierney will be a Celtic player next season. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why has there not been a big announcement by the club about this? Why have I not done a video about the announcement? It's because we're still waiting on that. The reason we're still waiting on that is because Celtic are still in talks to try and get Kieran Tierney in this window. So he's here on loan until the end of the current season. Those talks are still ongoing and very difficult to get done considering Arsenal's stance on the player right now. So Celtic are looking at other options in case Tierney can't come through the door this month. That option is Tyrell Malacia of Manchester United. Tyrell Malacia is somebody who signed for Manchester United a couple of years ago from Feyenoord when Erik ten Hag was first announced as Manchester United manager, and it's not really went his way. Now, I know what you're thinking, and you're right in thinking it. Not as good a player as Kieran Tierney. Evidently, not as good a player as Kieran Tierney. But somebody who certainly would be a decent option in my opinion, despite the problems that he's had at Manchester United. He missed over a year of action through injury and other issues, and he's only came back into the fold quite recently where he's been getting, minutes here and there. A loan move would be the kind of thing that he needs for his own career to try and bring him back up to speed. And honestly, I think that he'd be good enough for Celtic. If you go off the form that he showed at Feyenoord and the reason he got his move to Manchester United, if you go off the bits and bobs that he has showed United at times, I genuinely think that Malacia wouldn't be a bad option and from here till the end of the season if Tierney can't come through the door. This was Stephen McGowan who reported this, saying that the Man United left-back is on Celtic's watch list as they consider loan options in case the Tierney deal isn't concluded. Malacia is on a list of Celtic loan options to try and bring in if they can't land Tierney before the window. They are still in talks with Arsenal about bringing in Kieran Tierney. Greg Taylor, the only recognised left-back at the club. Of course, Manchester United set to bring in another left-back this window, Patrick Dorgu from Italy. So Malacia's Man United future is very much up in the air. He may need to go somewhere and play football. And Celtic and Real Betis seem to be two of the teams who are floating around his name. He missed 18 months, as I said, well over a year of football through a knee injury, but he is back. He is pretty much back up to match fitness because he's been playing quite a lot for United recently. I certainly don't think it'd be a bad option, but I do want Tierney. I do want Kieran Tierney. I think Tierney is obviously the better option, especially if you're going to be taking on Real Madrid or Bayern Munich. But when you look at it in the sense of, right, undoubtedly Celtic are probably going to go out of the Champions League in this next round. I hate being that miserable bastard and saying so, but I think we can all be pretty honest with ourselves. I think if you take that fixture aside for a moment, yes, Tierney gives us a better chance of a shock result, but if we go out, Malacia is going to be fine for a treble charge between here and May. So, yeah, he's apparently one of a few names that we're considering. It's not as if Malacia is the guaranteed left-back to come in. He's just a name that's out there right now. What do you think of that? Let me know. So those are the big stories at the moment following last night's defeat in Birmingham. A couple of other housekeeping issues to go over in regards to potential departures and such. Luis Palma, his move it seems to be in motion. It looks as though he will be leaving the club very, very soon. Giannis, not even going to bother trying to pronounce the second name, in Greece, has reported that Olympiacos are really close to signing Luis Palma from Celtic, so it looks as though a return to Greece is on the cards for Luis Palma. Of course, we signed him from Greece in the first place. I think that this man here, Mr. Giannis, not even going to try and pronounce the surname, was actually one of the reporters who aided in his arrival to Celtic in the sense that he reported that Celtic were in for Luis Palma. So yeah, it looks as though Palma is off and will be off in the next couple of days, which means that number 7 shirt is going to open up, ladies and gents, and I think we can all assume who's taking that. I think we know where the number 7 shirt might be going now. It would have been nice to see him back with 17, but I think Jota is the next Celtic number 7. And listen, I don't want to talk about that number 7 curse, because I believe that Georgios Giacomakis kind of broke that curse, but Palma may have brought it back. So let's hope it doesn't affect Jota. So that's it for the transfer update as things stand. There was a brief conversation with Sondre Orjaseta Somebody told me how to pronounce it in the comments. I believe it's actually Sondra Oryusata. I'm not sure, Oryusata. We'll get the pronunciation right if he signs for Celtic, don't worry. And apparently he's aware of the interest from Celtic right now, but the story still remains the same, with the apparent bid, and that's all that's there. But for now, that's about it. I've got to get this up quick. That's why the editing's looked a lot different recently, because things are just changing so quickly. I need to go with the quickest form of editing. That's why it's been screen sharing tweets and articles rather than the screenshots and stuff that I'd usually put on screen. Anyway, enough explanation. I've got to go. Like and subscribe. Sell like a fruit the next round of the Champions League. Hail, hail. God bless. See you next time.